Coming up on This Week in Plymouth, town elections and town meeting took place this week. Many discussions with the planning board, and we look ahead at a quiet end to the month of March. All that and more on This Week in Plymouth. Hello and welcome to This Week in Plymouth, a show where we recap events from around the town to keep you, the community, informed. I'm your host, Dan Salzer. The Plymouth Select Board met this past Monday, March 13th, upstairs at Town Hall. The board spent a majority of the time making final preparations for the town elections and town meeting. The following day, on Tuesday, March 14th, was Town Election Day. The voting hours went from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the elementary school gymnasium. The results of the election were then announced the following night at town meeting.
A couple bookkeeping things before we get going. I want to share the results of your elections yesterday because town is on the top. For Select Board, Philip Malachi Hammond had 142 votes, Zachary Terrell 273, and Marianne Barnsley 290, and I declare Marianne Barnsley and Zachary Terrell duly elected. For moderator, 377 votes, that would be me. Carol Garrity for treasurer was 366 votes. For cemetery trustee, Mark Halloran, 366, and Nick Mason had 3, and that was enough, so he gets a position. Trustee of trust funds, Michael Currier had 22, and Sarah Terrell had 4, enough for positions. And for library trustee, Joyce Weston had 38, Doug Grant had 281, and then the third person was James Coran with 47. They are duly elected, and there were some other write-in ballots.
Town meeting was held this past Wednesday, March 15th, also in the elementary school gymnasium. This year, there were a total of 29 warrant articles up for a vote, and all 29 of them passed, including the 6 zoning amendment articles conducted on town voting day. The major articles passed included the solar array project, the South Main Street project, and purchases of new vehicles for the police department, fire department, and the transfer station. Additionally, the approval of a new police officer, a police dispatcher, and a fire EMS personnel. The full annual town meeting is available to watch on demand on our YouTube channel or during select times throughout the week on channel 1301. In a sparsely attended meeting, the Water and Sewer District met this past Thursday evening for its annual meeting. There were 7 warrant articles up for voting this year, including Main Street Phase 1 Water Line Project. All 7 articles passed unanimously 9-0. Additionally, after receiving 243 votes, Tom McLaughlin was sworn in as a new commissioner for a 3-year term. McLaughlin takes a seat on the board held by Judy DeLeo. DeLeo sat on the board for 24 years but decided not to run for the position again this year. Board member Chris Woods read a resolution recognizing DeLeo for her hard work and contributions to the Water and Sewer District for nearly a quarter century.
Yes, I'd like to read a resolution. Whereas Judy DeLeo has served as Commissioner of the Plymouth Village Water and Sewer District since 1999, and whereas she has consistently given freely of her time and talents to provide oversight and direction in pursuit of organizational excellence and sustainability, and whereas Judy has filled the role of Commissioner with civility, diligence, honor, good humor, and integrity throughout her tenure on the board, now therefore be it resolved that those who are gathered at this 2023 annual district meeting that we extend an official vote of thanks and appreciation to Judy for her service, commitment, and caring for our district. And be it further resolved that a record of this resolution shall be permanently inscribed in the official records of the district so that future generations may know of her service and contribution.
The planning board also met this past Thursday. within a full agenda and a 3.5-hour meeting for 3 public hearings. The first of these hearings was a continuation of the Frontenac hearing, which has now been ongoing for several months. With the applicant Jeff Hiltz once again absent from the hearing, no new information was presented to the board. The board voted to continue the hearing into April. The second public hearing drummed up a lot of conversation, which is a subdivision application at 793 Texas Hill Road. After hearing many concerns from the public, the board decided to visit the site and continue the hearing on April 20th. The applicant also addressed the concerns at the end of the hearing.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Ball. I'm the owner of Mountain Stream Properties. I'm a Plymouth resident. I live at 579 Texas Hill Road, not too far from where this piece of property is. I acquired this piece of property last year, a residential sale, and I hired Mark Vanderhayden from Vanderhayden Surveying to see what I could do with this property.
The dust on Texas Hill Road has become a huge problem. I increasingly, and other people, have been calling the town to put salt on the road in the summer because I can't actually drive my car when I go to leave in the summer. I have to hose my windshield off. There's so much dirt on it. I have concerns about 3 lots going in there and increasing the salt use and how that affects the wetland there.
I think that what Steve's done up the road has been great, and taking some derelict houses and renovating them, making them nice. And my only concern is that water flowing downhill towards my house doesn't affect my well, and road quality, neighborhood quality. I just got a call from the school. My kids can't pick up the bus in front of the house anymore. They have to walk up the hill in the mud because of the mud. But
I'm new to town. I'm going to be building a home there in the next year. The reason I chose this area and wanted to build in this area because of the country setting and homes being spread apart. Privacy, nature, and that's what lured me to buy this property. So I am very surprised that there's an intent to build a small development on 3 acres.
The traffic up there has gotten horrendous. The road has gotten horrendous. It's kind of like 93. And I don't know how many times we have to call PD for people doing 40, 50 miles an hour down our road.
I know you can't say that there'll never be an issue later on down the road where those will be non-tax-paying properties. I was born in the ag zone, raised in the ag zone, and I understand everyone's concern. Really, I do. But I also think, the board said earlier, well, he's on an acre and 150 feet, and that's really the limit. Well, that's the rule. If he hits the rule, that's the rule. If DES says he's good to go, he's good to go. So if we're hitting everything that the state and the town has created in regulations to protect the citizens, yeah, it stinks a lot because I've washed my windshield off with dust before I had to head out. But I think everyone talking about the road and that thing's in horrible condition.
My intuition on this is that I'd like to continue the hearing. So I'll move that we continue the public hearing till April 20th.
second.
The public hearing will be continued to a site walk on the parcel at 5:30 on April 20th. After the site walk, we will reconvene the hearing here at our regularly scheduled meeting at 6:30. We're still in public hearing. Go for it.
Okay. So I'm Stephen Ball. I'm the one that we're all here for. I agree. At least we can have some common ground that the roads are awful, whether you live on the paved part or whether you live on the dirt part. So hopefully the road agent's listening to that. This piece of property, I was approached by some abutters to purchase this a few years ago. I was unable to purchase it then. When it came up for sale again, I purchased it. I do echo what Todd said. Every time a piece of property goes up for sale in the neighborhood, there's a shiver down my spine. And this is a process that I've been through before. I purchased a piece of property in 2019 that had a blighted home on it. I got rid of that home. I built some other structures there. One of them is a rental. I will say that is a part of my plan. rentals in the state of New Hampshire are at less than 0.5% vacancy. As someone that was the director of anesthesia at the hospital here, we couldn't bring people into work because there was no place for people to live. The facility I work at now, same problems. So that's an issue that I look at. I do have concerns about the tax base because I do see my taxes rising, but I don't see anything. My kids are in the school. I don't see the roads getting any better. My cars are getting destroyed. All those things that we have about concerns. I was not coming into this to create something that be contentious. I was not coming into this to create something in a nefarious nature. That was not my intent. I hired Mark. I've worked with Mark in the past on another project that I had, and Mark did great work, and I brought him into this to find out how to do this to fulfill the requirements of the town. So I appreciate everyone's comments. I'm more than happy to talk to people afterwards, and thank you for the board, and I look forward to getting muddy on April 20th.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Any abstentions? Okay, the motion is approved.
The final of the 3 public hearings was a site plan application for the new Tenny Mountain Ski Resort. The public had many comments for both the applicant and the board, and even called on the applicant to have the surrounding roads that lead to the resort repaired as they are in very rough condition. The board ended up giving conditional approval to the applicant so they might begin construction in time for the resort to be open next ski season.
Next, we have another application and public hearing. This is for Tenny Mountain Ski Lodge. The owner is North Country Development Group, and the applicant is North Point Engineering, PID 224/004 at 151 Tenny Mountain Road, lot size 284 acres in the agricultural zone. This is an application for a site plan review to renovate and expand the existing ski lodge at the lot just described. The expansion includes the addition of an elevator tower and changes to traffic circulation, stormwater, and accessibility.
So my name is Robert Elfer. I'm a partner at a Studio Troika, an architecture firm. We do a lot of work in this type of area with athletic facilities, hospitality. So we've got a pretty good understanding of what a new facility really needs in terms of facilities behind it, the support spaces, to be successful. So the plan on the building, really the concept is, and this is what a lot of the new ski areas are doing, what they have is the ground floor, you get people in there, they get all their lockers, everything changed, so you get the upper floor free just for, the bar, restaurant, midday, it's much easier that way. So a lot of hills, Loon does that, a lot of other major hills are doing this right now. So there's a separation of how we're structuring the space. So the ground floor is really intended for wide open spaces for lockers, expanded shops, storage, and support for the kitchen upstairs, and new bathrooms on both floors. The other part that Steve was mentioning is the biggest issue on the site is an inability of anybody at an accessible level to get to the site. So believe it or not, this really was the best way we can come up with an elevator and stair to get to the upper levels.
Several concerns and several suggestions. So emergency access, first and foremost. So oil prices have driven up quite considerably over the last few years, so we're all using wood stoves. No matter how safe any of us are, accidents still happen. I am concerned that, and it's convenient that we have a member of the fire department here, I'd invite them to come out 2 hours into the next storm and see, do a test run and see if you can get to my house if I have a fire in the winter. We're required to register our vehicles. We pay taxes. I have to inspect my vehicle so it's roadworthy, but our roads are not worthy of our vehicles to traverse them. It's interesting.
We're really excited about the ski area. My concern is about drainage, and I know that you talked about the redirection of stormwater, and also there was some mentioning about the Tenny Brook area. I live about 800 feet downhill from the mountain, and we've done a lot of work like Sam Hall Drive, perpendicular to Tenny Mountain Road or Melvin Road or whatever you want to call it. And we've done work redoing some culvert work on Sam Hall Drive in order to alleviate some of the drainage problems that have occurred from water coming down.
In January 2020, we called the Plymouth police to do a wellness check on my brother who was living in the house. I'm sorry, I might get a little emotional here. It took us 2 hours to find out that he died in that house because he couldn't get through the roads. And thankfully, to the fire department, who got it open so that the police could get in there. These are people's lives. That is inhuman and unconscionable that a family has to live through something like that. There are others that are present here who've had medical issues we've talked about it being impassable during storms. This is not about who owns it and who doesn't own it. This is a serious issue.
I've been on Tenny Mountain since 1967, on and off, and the road has been nothing but an on and off disaster. I appreciate what they're planning to do. It'd be great to make it very successful up there, be successful for the community. But sticking a $30 million facility up there and having that access, there's other things that have to be done, but not having the appropriate access, it almost appears like it's going to be the same situation that's happened when other owners have come in.
I've owned this mountain for, 8 months now? So people complaining and putting the responsibility on us for the roads, we're going to fix the roads. But to expect us to have done something sooner when we don't even have legal control of it is ridiculous. Someone doesn't understand the process. If we don't have legal control of something, we can't do anything. So people should be educated on the process if they want to start to associate blame and responsibility. Obviously, it's tragic, the story we just heard about, the gentleman who passed away and couldn't get, emergency service for that person. We have it in our top priority of our plan. We don't have a schedule yet. We don't have control of that process yet. How the hell can we have a schedule? So people should be educated on the process before they start to establish unrealistic expectations. We will have a plan. Once we figure out that plan, we'll publish that plan.
My condition, I will offer approval with the following conditions. The applicant should provide escrow funds in the amount of $1,800 for the town's engineer to review plans. The applicant should provide a stormwater pollution prevention plan and a landscaping plan to supplement the documents we have, and that those should be reviewed by the town engineer. The applicant shall execute a development agreement with the town and provide funds in escrow to allow for construction inspection by the town's engineer. The third condition of approval is that the applicant will need to meet the requirements of the water and sewer district regarding the condition of the existing drainage. And the fourth condition is that this is kind of a standard of condition. Condition of approval must be met within 12 months. Active and substantial development shall begin within 2 years of the date of the approval. Extensions may be granted in both cases, but you must request them of the board before the 12-month or before the expiration of the previous conditions.
So we have a motion and a second. Are we ready for the question?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Nay. Oops, I'm not
Aye.
supposed to say that, never mind.
All opposed? Nay.
Nay.
Okay, the motion passes.
It's now time for this week's announcements. The Select Board has meetings scheduled for Mondays, March 27th, April 10th, and April 24th. All meetings will take place in the Town Hall meeting room starting at 5 p.m. The Planning Board will be holding a community meeting in regards to the findings of the Barrett Planning Group for the housing grant. This meeting will be held on Thursday, April 6th at the Plymouth Elementary School in the cafeteria starting at 6:30. The public is strongly encouraged to attend and ask questions to the board and the representatives from the Barrett Planning Group. It's going to be a light end of the month for meetings. The Pemmy-Baker Regional School Board, Water and Sewer Commissioners, and Conservation Committee will be meeting on Tuesday, March 21st. Campus Community Council will also be meeting at Town Hall at 5:15 p.m. on Wednesday, March 22nd. This meeting will be broadcasted live on Pemmy-Baker TV, but the council recommends that the community attend to have their questions heard. Reminder that PRHS will have a delayed opening on March 21st for teachers in service. That will end this week's episode. For our executive producer, Jonathan Picard, I'm Dan Salzer. If you have anything you would like to put on the air or have an idea for your show, contact us on the information on your screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week right here on This Week in Plymouth.